So we are live. Let me get everybody to go ahead on and tune in. Man, so that's great, man.
These work?
Yeah. Unless if you want to take some calls, we'll use them. But no, I don't take calls. I mean, I can, but
No.
Okay.
I just like to hear. Yeah.
okay. Let's get everybody tuned in.
The mic is gonna be hot in here.
Yeah.
Yes, I like to hear
Let me, yeah.
that.
Let me
Okay.
show how you want to.
There we go.
You
That's
good?
perfect.
You
Yeah.
good like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, well, listen, go ahead on and tune in. Go ahead on and tag and share. Let's get everybody in. Let's get everybody in.
Yes, she is.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
For some reason, I can't hear you, Pastor.
Hold on. See, this is what happens when you have people doing this stuff. Let's see here.
What's the audio set to?
Here.
The audio. What's the audio set to at the bottom where that microphone is?
Right here?
Yeah. What's that set?
Hit it.
Yeah.
Oh no, what I did. Let me tell her to come back in.
Hit the arrow next to it.
Right here?
No, the arrow next to the audio. At the bottom, hit that arrow. Yeah. What's it saying? I see you live.
Hey, come back in. Want to say good afternoon and once again, welcome to, that's right, it's the hottest show on the radio. AM, FM, you name it, it's hot. It's hot. It is the Greg James Community Show, and we are right here on Hallelujah 95.3. Hey, listen, so much is going on in the city. I mean, you know, normally when I get on, I have a few controversial issues that I try to talk about, but today I'm going to put it on pause and I'm going to let you wonder about some of the controversial things that is going on. But I do understand there's a big press conference that the NAACP is going to be holding over at the Bethel AME Church, talking about the merging of the hospital. I mean, you know, some things are just a done deal and the deal is done, but I guess they still want to make noise. So they're going to be sounding off, but, you know, oh, God, that's another conversation for another day. So I won't even entertain it today. But however, you know, back in my days, they used to say stick a fork in it. It's a done deal. But anyway, we'll say that for another day. Also, it's a big game that's happening. It's FAMU and BCC. I think I got somebody in the studio that's connected to them. So we'll talk about that a little later on. And certainly, we're going to hear what's going on as well. But certainly, I am excited to be joined in the studio by Christy Henry. Okay. Hold up. Can you hear me now?
I can definitely hear you now.
Wonderful. I'm joined in the studio by none other than the conscious chick. She's all the way out of the country, but she's on the radio. How are you today?
I'm not out of the country, Pastor. I'm in the country, but I am doing quite
You're
well.
out of the country. That's the
I'm
country.
not out the country, but I'm in the country. Hey,
So how are
Pastor
you
Elwood, so good to see you today.
Hey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Straight from the ATL.
ATL.
So we are excited about the conversation that we're going to have with the pastor of one of the most, I want to say, I mean, right now you've got so much momentum, man, at the St. Paul. Is it St. Paul?
St. Philip.
St. Philip Church.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I just tuned into a conversation where you done had TNL there twice.
Twice, yeah. TNL has come up twice and rocked the house both times they came.
I didn't ask you this off the air, but I'm gonna ask you on the air.
Right.
I mean, I know how you was doing it over at Zion Christian. We know how the old Bainbridge Road, and that was in my neighborhood. I could feel them all the way up to Abraham Street.
Yeah, the city.
I know they were
Over there,
open
the city.
outdoors,
Yeah.
everything. So
Uh-huh.
how was it getting the new adjustment to some of the, the upbeat stuff you were doing here?
Well, you know what? It's adjustment is the word. Coming in, wonderful church, beautiful church, storied history. Not my immediate predecessor, but the one before him was there for 44 years. So it kind of was reminiscent of me being here at New Mount Zion with Dr. J. Leander Bird, who was there for 21 years. And then my immediate predecessor was at St. Philip for 12 years. So he was retiring when he was going out. So he was 75.
Wow.
I was coming in, as a 40-year-old. And, so it's always adjustments. I don't think you can change leadership anywhere in the country, in churches, in business, where it won't be adjustments. So we've had to, endure those adjustments, but at the same time, we move forward and just excited about what God is doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Christy, do we feel it's 3 years that Pastor Dr. Elwood has been out of the city, and I know you shared some things with me on yesterday. Let's talk about some of the thoughts that you had with his presence, and now let's talk about where things are going now.
Well, I got to crack my knuckles because I'm 100% on the Legacy Church capability as it relates to community movements in this hour. When you look at the old wells that serve such tremendous purpose in the communities in which they were placed, New Mount Zion is an old church in the community. AME organization is over 100 years old, going on 200 years old, serving the community and serving as conduits of resource, of opportunity, of political strategy, of all the things that were necessary, pathways, underground railroads for opportunity for the community. And as I talk with Pastor James all the time, we're missing that. We're missing that infrastructure tremendously. Can you speak to your thoughts in regards to that historic infrastructure, kind of its transfer over to the public sector, and now with kind of the decline of public sector emphasis on providing human opportunity, human resource infrastructure? Where does the church stand, and what is the strength of the church? And speak to AME, but just in general, feel free to share what that looks like on all fronts.
Well, yeah, that's the beautiful thing about legacy churches. I think once you are able to, kind of attach to the history of our churches, I believe that's kind of the first stop we ought to make when we become pastors of legacy churches. Stop by the cornerstone and make sure you pull up the history. Those names that you're reading on the cornerstone, they meant a lot to what that church is. The same way with reading the history, those names that appear and those stories that appear, they mean a whole lot. And so I think a part of what you said is just so true and so germane to 2026, because so much is happening in the world, right. So much is happening in the country and in our own local communities. And we were talking off air about Dr. Freddie Haynes in Texas that just got elected for the Democratic nominee. And that's a beautiful thing. But one person challenged him in a workshop that I was in, saying, you know what, it is not, the bigger office is not for him to be in Congress. The bigger office is for him to be a pastor. because leading churches, leading pastors, strong voices in the community still should be the resounding gong, right? That is leading the community and where it should go. And so I think it's important that we tap into it, but understand what it is now. Unfortunately, when we entertain a thought, it's always, of course, I'm in Atlanta, so it's always Dr. Martin Luther King, is Dr. Ralph Abernathy, Y.T. Walker. You come to Tallahassee, C.K. Steele, and several others. You bring up those old names, right? But who are the new people? You can talk about Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant now, that's leading the charge in several different ways, and several others around the country. So I think all of us should tap into it and embrace it, even if it's not your ministry, right? Now we can probably debate that, Christy, right?
No, we can't. That's the point.
No, yeah. But you should embrace it and then know that there is a Greg James in the community that he sleeps and breathes this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So if it's not your high point, make a phone call. Don't try to speak on issues that you're not, privy to speak on. Call the people that are. Call the people that have the connects and be able to do stuff like that. And that's the way I love it.
Wow. Christy, I want to tap in on something that you said, because you was in a workshop and the question was asked when it came to Freddie Haynes running for office and the pastor. I think that we got to applaud him.
Right.
Yeah, we got to applaud him for now being elected and now having an opportunity to serve, because I think the voices of the clergy are quiet in the halls of Congress. They're quiet in the capitals. They're quiet in the rooms that need to have a voice. So I think it's very imperative now, and then you could share your thoughts on this. It's very imperative now that we as faith leaders, we don't get in the room. We create a room to bring those in government to the room, because our needs now are far great. How do you see that?
Well, and I should have said that I was kind of opposed to what the person was saying. I think it is important for him to be in place, that he decided to run for that office, that now he's in the pulpit and at the table at the same time. Raphael Warnock, of course, right there in Atlanta, same way. Beautiful, wonderful person, an individual that at times vacillates, right? He'll tell you, he spoke at Bishop Jackson's funeral, who was, of course, my bishop that actually brought me to Atlanta. And he said, you know what, I knew you all have looked for the senator today, but today you got to get the preacher, the community leader. And I think to be able to have both of those, or command both of those positions at the same time, it really, really brings the issue. It keeps the main thing, and brings the issues, specifically of the Black community, to the forefront, never letting it be, whitewashed about the things that are happening in this world. So, yeah, I was actually opposed. I'm proud to see Dr. Freddie Haynes in position, hopefully getting elected, of course, Democratic nomination. But let's move forward. Let's keep moving him forward to make sure he can be a voice and a leader. He is unbought and unbossed. He has been outspoken for years. And I'm hoping that he keeps that same energy when he moves into position.
So, Christy, your thoughts when it comes to faith leaders engaging in that governmental role? How important do you feel that is in this hour that we're in now?
Well, I always talk about the two swords, church and state. And I think that God has ordained them both. And I think where they both can collide, to the blessing and the appropriate administration of justice of people, then I think that that's where we win. I think what we have here is a lopsided view of what is just, what is right. And the church would serve in their legacy position as the moral construct and basis of what is right and what is just. And what we're missing in the issues of the day, as it relates to unjust wars, as it relates to conduct in Congress, conduct in public office, as it relates to that, we're missing the strength of that moral basis where people speak out on what's unjust, what's unrighteous. And I feel that, and this is maybe a question that we can push forward for everyone to get a piece of. I was in New Mount Zion the other day with Dr. Judy Mandrell and the women praying. And the thing that laid on my spirit as I was praying is I heard the echoes of ancestral prayers in those buildings. I heard there are prayers yet to be answered on the behalf of people in this community. They echo in the halls. We're praying, but they're echoes of prayers that have been prayed hundreds of years ago, right? And so my question becomes, who are we the stewards of, right? What are we the stewards of? Are we the stewards simply of public policy, of public process, of public sentiment, or are we truly stewards of the righteous appropriation and blessing of the people that government brings to a nation? It says that righteousness exalts a nation. And we've seen in our community where the church was the bastion. It was the place where when the world would not recognize your humanity because of supremacist mindset, when the world would not recognize your gifts and talents because of supremacist mindset, the church is where all of those gifts and talents were honed, right? And so now there's an absence of that respect. There's an absence of it. And I would just like to see a return of the strength and the vigor of church leadership, and that the Lord would strengthen pastors and strengthen local leaders to take their place in that regard, because it's hard. It's hard to be volleying in between consensus and ordination. It's hard. And I keep seeing pastors falling. Keep seeing pastors committing suicide. I keep seeing pastors overcome with the cares of the world. And the question I have is, how do we support our pastors in our local church? And how do we begin to reclaim the data and reclaim the conscious of our community so that we can be rebirthed in a sense in terms of our moral responsibility to order within our communities?
What's your thoughts, Don?
And you know what? And this may be controversial.
Well, that's good.
I may put it out there, just like it's almost like watching Inside the NBA where Ernie, Kenny, and Shaq, and they were talking about the Chicago Bulls one day, and they were saying of the Bulls, guys, y'all need to realize that Michael Jordan is not walking through that door. Scottie Pippen is not walking through that door. I think the same is true for us, churches, Black community. Dr. King is not walking through that door. Y.T. Walker, Ralph David Abernathy, not even Malcolm X is not walking through that door.
That's good, yeah.
But we probably also need to survey why the current state of the church is, and church leaders is like it is as well. Because now, I would remind you that Dr. King checked out at 39.
Yeah.
In an assassin's bullet. Malcolm X checked out at 39. You know what I'm saying? At the other end of his own people's bullets. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you start talking about government interference, FBI, CIA investigations, I don't know if the sensitivity of this generation is prepared to lose their lives for the cause. And I think it's because of that there's more and more people that have kind of backed off of that level of leadership because of that. Yeah. I take you a step further, even use it now. Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, who said clearly to me publicly, personally, I had to move from where I was living because of the threats that I received. Bishop Rudolph McKissick was preaching for me at St. Philip the day after he was preaching for Dr. Howard John Wesley at Alpha Street in Virginia. And you remember when he spoke out, everybody was attacking him. And he said that the FBI and everybody had swarmed that church.
Absolutely.
I don't know. This generation is different from a sensitivity standpoint. I don't know if they're ready to lose their lives and give up all for the cause. And I think so. Why I'm saying controversial, I might be willing to say that day is gone.
And you know what? And you got a very valid point, because when you think about the lives of our leaders prior, I mean, they were willing to risk it all and really did not care about what anyone else thought, what they believed in, what they stood for. And as you look at and I mean, I think we have to have these conversations
100%.
Because it has to challenge us in our areas that we're serving in.
Right.
If we really say we're fighting for justice,
Right.
where does the line stop?
Yeah.
I mean, are you really like Christ? I'm willing to put it all on the cross
Right.
to make sure justice is served.
Yeah. To me, that's gone. Honestly, I don't feel that's what the culture is saying.
Wow.
The culture is saying, get all you can, live how you gonna live. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily, I'm really willing to lose my life for this. The other side of it, I think Christique made a great point about, even this generation, as I'm watching and looking at social media at the loss of Reverend Jesse Jackson, I noticed how he was under attack after he died, right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
noticed that. I noticed how he wasn't just lauded for all the work that he did.
Right, absolutely.
They really start bringing up other stuff. I noticed how now the FBI papers for Dr. King, that's what they're pushing now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's almost like there was even a joke I saw online that said, why did nobody tell me that Rosa Parks' husband had a car? You know what I'm saying? It was like, hey, this is where people are now.
Yeah.
People are in that place.
Yeah.
They literally are trying to, as many people as despise Trump, they are using Trump-like tactics and ideologies to now take down our own people.
Wow.
With bringing up their shortcomings more than glorifying the things that they did for the community.
Wow. And we're at a place now, and I love it. I love it when we can really have the conversations and we have different opinions and different ideas.
100%.
And at the end of the day, we walk away with a conscious check.
Right.
We're at the place now where leadership is in a place where they're looking for what's in it for me, not for what's in it for the people.
Right.
And therefore, when we talk about a Trump as president, and when we look at how we are acting as leaders in our own community, I really don't see the difference.
Yeah.
I don't see the difference in what he's doing as opposed to what we're doing to each other.
Definitely.
And I get a lot of kickback when I say that. But I look at how we're so divided as faith leaders.
Right.
We cannot unite for the betterment of the people that we serve.
100%.
But we all say we love God. We're going to have different opinions. We're going to have different ideas. But at the end of the day, what's best for the people that we can do?
Yeah.
And all of us got one thing in common. We serve vulnerable people.
Yeah.
Christique, I'm looking at you.
It's hard. It's hard because although positionally you reconcile the politics and the polity of the church, I'm old enough to remember, when the church was the central social conduit for community. I'm old enough to remember.
You don't think it's that now? I want to stop you because I remember. Is it that now? And if it's not, why it's not?
Yeah.
The question that the fact that I can say I don't know is telling. I think there are some churches that keep up the old infrastructure of spiritual and human support, human ecosystem support. Pastor Elwood, you did a tremendous job with the CDC, working with New Mount Zion to build up and to acquire and to make investments that could help support affordable housing, help support the long-term needs, even as they came and had their spiritual needs addressed in the church. There was an infrastructure working alongside that where folks could say, I could come to the church and find an affordable place to stay. I could come to the church and I could find someone that had a business that can connect me with a job. I could come to the church and I can find somebody that can help me. And I think that because there's so many resources posing at help, it's drained, if you will, that sensibility that the church is a place for help. And I think that that's what needs to be reclaimed. We're not just auditoriums for emotion. We are places of help. We are places of spiritual help, places of gospel help. We're places of economic help. And I think that's the strength that we had to rely upon because we didn't have no options.
Yeah.
Right. And so now we got too many options, and those options aren't necessarily working or dwindling down. All boats aren't rising with the tide. And I am desperate, I believe, to see strength and consciousness return to the church in regards to the data of the communities that they're situated in regards to the needs represented within their localities, in regards to because they shouldn't have to go anywhere else to figure out what's going on with our people. We should know. And so that's where I'm coming from with what I'm saying. And I know that polity and ambition and some things that have unfortunately derailed the focus, if you will. But I would like to see how we as a community can help revisit those old wells. I keep thinking about the old wells. What is it that as a community we can do to undergird the work of ministries to create those ecosystems that help with both swords, government and church, that meet the needs humanly, but also that are gospel centric and ready to meet the spiritual condition of the people that come to them?
Yeah, I mean, it's deep when you consider, I think, the integrated mindset of believers as well, right? I think it's a segregated mindset of believers kind of calls itself a little closer to what, in my opinion, what you're saying, but it seems to me like an integrated mindset of the people. I never forget me, leaning hard on government in a sermon in St. Philip, and a lady came up to me. She said, "I would love to come back here." She said, "But you talk too much about politics." And I thought that was interesting. It's almost like we know it's happening. What can we really do about it? Billy Mitchell is a representative that's a member of our church in Georgia, a state rep, and he just read off the numbers in Georgia of the people that did not, the millions of people that did not vote in the last election.
Wow.
Really disenfranchised with the whole process, the whole system, and the way that the country is going. But then also, like you're saying about the church being the bastion, like you really have to connect with your resources. Christine mentioned the CDC. That was one thing that we started when I was here. And
what gave birth to that? What gave birth to
that? Well, just the whole concept of understanding affordable housing, understanding what that means to the community, and having an opportunity, because we were able to amass the land, the land that was around us, and say, okay, these lots are available. Let's go ahead and grab them. But then also, how can we now make it available to the community, to serve the community? I'll never forget, at the time when I met with Christine and her husband, I didn't even know what a chotto was, right? I didn't even know the language. And they unpacked that language for me. And when I talked to the director of the CDC at New Mount Zion just the other day, she was saying that they were almost, there with making sure that chotto was a part of the bylaws and all of the stuff at the CDC. And I was just so grateful because of that, because they're keeping it going. I just think that's important. You got to be able to tap the resources in your community. I still right now don't know what church Christine goes to. In the real sense, I didn't care. I knew she had the resources. I knew she had the mindset and the willingness to help. Man, tap into the people. Call your colleagues. But the truth is, we all need each other. You know what I'm saying? Your members. I had a couple of members leave New Mount Zion and went to Life Church. Praise the Lord. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to serve them better, then go for it. And I think that's just the idea. We try to hoard members and hoard programs. And one of the biggest things we do is hoard resources.
Oh, yeah.
Know what's going on.
And then the hour that we're in, is an hour whereby we've got to make everyone aware of the resources.
Yeah.
We got to make everyone aware. And we got to understand that it's not black or white, it's not Republican, it's a Democrat. It's a vulnerable population of people that we serve. Just this morning, I had a situation, and I'm in court, take a break. I'm listening to a situation that a family is struggling with. And I'm saying, God, are you really testing me? I don't know. I don't want to flunk this test. All night in my spirit, I hear Jesus is the answer to the world today. And now I'm hearing this, and now I'm saying to myself, do I respond, Do I meet a need? I call my brother Freddie. I said, man, listen, I don't know whether I'm in a test or what. I share with him the situation. He said, Greg, let's not worry about it. Let's get it done.
Right.
Let's make it happen for that family. Now, today, when they leave court, they will go back to a situation that they don't even have to worry about. It's done.
Right.
So I'm grateful of having you here today. I'm grateful for the knowledge that you're sharing, and certainly thankful for the work that Christique and her husband is doing out in the community. But to hear you say, hey, man, I didn't know anything, but I tapped into the knowledge and the resource they had. We've got to be able to do that with people.
100%.
Especially faith leaders.
Yeah.
We got to do more than preach to people.
That's right. That's right.
Would you really agree with that, Doc?
100%. And make the resources available, lift them up, lift the resources up so that others can tap. Because again, we're not monolithic, right? We're gonna think different, but we should be at least mono-charged in a way.
Mm-hmm.
In our community, we gotta find a way to be at least of one mind so that the community can get stronger. Because if not, we're literally watching the community get weaker
and die. It's dying.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the difference between Tallahassee and 2.5 years ago when I left, and Tallahassee now today. Driving through the city, I can tell who's in charge. You
see it.
I can see it. I can see it with my own eyes. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this, and Christique, I'm gonna let you tune in. But I'm gonna say this: for the many years that we have worked together, I have really come to appreciate the fact that you said to me, you said, James, that's your lane.
Right.
I'm here to support you in it. This is my lane, but whatever I can do with what you're doing, just let me know. And I really want to appreciate that. And to hear you echo that, it lets me know that you still in that place to know that, hey, I'm tapping into, and there are times when you would call me when you were here, hey man, listen, I got a situation going on. I got somebody in court. I need you
100%.
to do what you need to do for them.
That's right.
And nobody never knew that.
That's right.
but I think that's the key, Christique. If we look at church, the challenges that churches face and the conflict that we're in, the controversy that we have to go through, I think it's all because we don't communicate with one another.
Well, I'll ask a simple question. Who's at their church during church hours? What pastors, what are the majority of pastors that actually are at their offices at their churches? Who has churches that are staffed with people that when folks come there, they can actually knock on the door and come in? Where's the infrastructure of information where we have the data that not just taps in, that we're not just tapping in the resources, we're informing the resources because we have the data, right? We're not surveying our people to death to find out stuff that we already know.
Right.
From things that we already attained in 2020 because we already surveyed that. We already know that. What has not happened is the implementation of the solution. Wow. And so I think it's a big old conversation, right? Yeah. And look, my husband is my pastor, and I'm glad of it. But we have these conversations all the time, about where in this hour, with the two-sword concept that is biblically understood, the church and state.
Yeah.
Where are we intersecting those two to bring blessing to the people, right? Because if we look at the Old Testament and we look at every construct, order was always meant to bring resource and blessing to the people. So what's the issue? Are we out of order? Is there any order? What's the situation? Because if chaos is ensuing and we don't know what's going on, or we know and we're just approaching it step by step because we don't have the collective resource to really bridge impact, what exactly are we doing?
Well, I'll say this. I think that when we look at the community as a whole, when we look at the church as a whole, and when we look at the cities that we're living in as a whole, we got to take a look at the governmental leadership. And everybody has become in a mindset that government is after me. But the question really becomes, how do we stop being after each other? Texas, I would have never thought that Jasmine Crockett would have lost Texas with the number of African-American voters there.
Yeah.
And the numbers had already given insight that if people go to vote,
Yeah.
she wins.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But trying to get our people out to vote.
And listen to what you said when you got the numbers from your representative in Atlanta.
Yeah.
If there ever was a time for the church, and you know, a lot of times we say, oh, well, we're not getting in politics. Well, everything we do in church is politics.
Right.
And this is a critical time. And I want you to speak to this, Dr. Elwood, because it's a critical time now as we look at what's going on midterm, what's going on with elections throughout. And I know you are heavily engaged in a lot of work here in Tallahassee with getting out the vote. How important is it for this community as a whole? I mean, you already said it's 2.5 years. I drive back, I see the difference.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's interesting to me. Again, our people, we really have to understand and I say they, you can define they however you want to, really understand the importance of voting.
Yes.
That's why they work to change the laws. That's why they work and do crazy things at the ballots. That's why the commander-in-chief, subpoenas the records from Fulton County, Georgia. You know what I'm saying? After they understand it, they get it. It's like the more they get it, the more we're not getting it.
Mm.
They understand our power when we vote. We don't understand our power when we vote, because if we did, we would do it. We go back and forth about people die. If we really hear the stories about, though, it's one thing to know that people die, but it's one thing to know how, I read this book about Emmett Till and how in Money, Mississippi, how the people, if they had an account at the grocery store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you used to be able to put your groceries on the account.
Yeah, right.
But if they saw the manifest with your name for trying to vote, then they would take your account at the grocery store.
You kidding?
Right. You know what I'm saying? They have always understood who we are if we're voting. If we just don't understand our power, and we're dialing it back more and more generationally, more and more is getting dialed back. And it's unfortunate to see now the policies. I'll tell you another trick that we see. We have seen the commander-in-chief pardon rappers, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Going through the whole pardon list, popular rappers. So much so now, strategy.
Absolutely. Everything's strategic.
Everything is strategic. They have got us down to a science. The Project 2025 is a science, and they are literally enacting every single thing that they said that they would do. Where's ours?
We're so divided.
We're so divided.
We can't even unite to talk about engaging our community in something as simple as unifying,
right, as
cleaning up the neighborhood.
Right.
We got to fight about who gonna lead the initiative.
Exactly. Who picture gonna be on the fly?
Yeah. So we're majoring in the minor things 100%. That are keeping us behind the 8 ball, and they, like you said, whoever they are, right, they may not even like each other, right, but they will come together to ensure that there's no progress on our behalf. Listen, those of you who are tuned into the conversation, I'm here with the Conscious Chick, and we're talking to none other than the illustrious pastor of the St. Philip AME Church out of Atlanta, Georgia, the Reverend Dr. Antoine Elwood, and he's here in revival at the Old Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church in Havana, Florida. Pastor Roosevelt Rogers is a pastor. Tonight is the last night, so you want to make plans to make your way up there. I've been watching online. I almost got happy the other night, but I got a call that stopped me from shouting. But here it is. He's here. Tonight is the last night. It's over in Havana at the Old Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church in Havana, Florida, under the leadership of Pastor Roosevelt Rogers. Make plans to get out there tonight at 7 p.m. Let's close out in a big way. So Christine, I want to ask you this because I feel like this is so important. I mean, you are definitely community oriented. You breathe community, you sleep community. It's community. With Dr. Elwood here today, and we're taking a look at Tallahassee, Atlanta, what would be something that you would want to ask when you look at the time he spent in Tallahassee and the 3 years that he's been in Atlanta? when it comes to community?
Well, I can definitely say, first of all, I love Christ. Christ Jesus is my Lord and my Savior. He guides my life. I'm rebirthed by his spirit. And so that's where the passion comes from, because God loves his people, even the ones that ain't reborn to him. He loves people. And I think that the mandate for the church is to exemplify the love of God to people. And some of the greatest encounters and stories I've heard are stories from Atlanta, quite frankly, in ways that the church has worked in cooperation with CDCs up there, even with developers up there, to recreate entire communities for the safety and environmental benefit of their residents. Many examples. I know that Purpose-Built Communities is up there, but you also have different brokers that are working with corporations like Microsoft to bring economic development and do buy the block initiatives for neighborhoods. I mean, there's so much outpouring of ideas and innovation to address issues and to bring and bridge value to legacy communities. When you go to certain areas of Atlanta, you can see where the people are at work. They are working with partners, as Pastor said, and they are finding resources, and they are being funded by the Bank of Americas and by the cities and by all they are getting resources. Of course, it helps that the Federal Reserve is up there, but at the same token, there are people everywhere that want to tap into progress, and there are God's people everywhere that want to love on people. So how do we connect those dots? But you said something really critical, Pastor James, earlier. Is humility has to be the flavor of it. I got to be able to put my ingenuity up front and out there for the benefit of the whole. And I got to be able to step back and let the leader be in front of their people, because they're appointed for that space. And when we try to occupy spaces that don't belong to us, that's when we get into the egotism and we get into the strategies and the things that leave a bad taste in people's mouth, which ultimately detract people from wanting to work in concert with others. I've done it. I've been in the midst of it. I've been the beneficiary as well as the victim of these things. But we have to continue to pursue that. And so a lot of the great things that are happening in the larger cities like Atlanta, I'd like to see us come together as a Southeastern contingent to talk through that, to talk as churches, to really have a real conversation. I love that he's doing a revival at a Baptist church. That's something else, right? Because, I ain't gonna talk about the Bloods and the Crips, but to have an AME pastor go into a missionary Baptist church and do a revival, that is something that needs to be, that's remarkable.
And you know what? It's amazing you said that, because I want to tap in on it, because like you said, and normally this can be so true that, denominations kind of stay within their circle.
Right.
But when you build relationships, it breaks down the barrier.
100%.
And there's a young lady who has a statement on here, Alicia Madison. She said, "How do we change the narrative?"
Yeah. Well, who has the ink pen? Who has the paintbrush? And I think that once we really realize the narrative, the story can change. Once we understand who has the ink pen, who's writing the story, and really, really be intentional about tapping, right? Who's next? Instead of just kind of wondering. But I never forget, I heard a story, just like Christique said about being in Atlanta. I remember my church, who has the largest funeral home in the Southeast, there at the church, right? And what's so funny is he's connected to Jamari and Hawk and everybody that's here in this area, Al Hall, all of them know him, right? But the only way that the DeKalb County CEO ran for position, the immediate past DeKalb County CEO, the reason why he ran into position, because him and 3 other stakeholders in the community grabbed him, pulled him into an office and said, "You are going to run for this position and we are going to help."
Wow.
And so to me, that's what resources are, understanding who they are, who are your resources, who has the deep pockets in the community. Let's talk about it, right? Who has the pockets in order enough to tap somebody else and say, "Now, I know you don't have the same capital that I have, but I'm willing to tap you and help you to get to where you're trying to go. You know, so I just think that's important. Once you have relationships, where would Ricky Smiley be without Steve Harvey? You know what I'm saying? But these people, it's the church, Christy, that has the problem.
Come on now.
The world gets it. The world gets it. Yeah.
Look, Snoop Dogg takes off his chain and puts it around Kendrick Lamar's neck. You know what I'm saying? You're next. Now I want you to represent the West Coast. I did my run. I did what I was supposed to do. Now you're next. It's the church that has the problem with that. Unfortunately, the polity of the church will cause people to want to be in the same position for 50 years just to say, I'm still in position. And I have a problem with the next generation that's coming behind me. So I'm going to hold on to this position as long as I possibly can. You know, so again, like you said, man, relationships, tapping resources, not caring about denominational, restrictions, and just making the relationships and being down to earth, enough to have a real conversation.
But I also like something you said, and I think it's so key. Those three businessmen tapped the young man,
right,
who they felt like would represent them well,
right,
and represent the people well.
That's right.
Because we see something in you,
right,
but we know what you need to get there.
That's right.
We got to come to a place as a Black community. Everybody may be aspiring to run for office,
right,
but there got to be a certain sect of people that can say, hey, it's not your turn yet, but let's tap so-and-so now.
Right.
And let's put all of our energy behind him or her to move us, because we don't need people who are going to sell out.
Right.
We don't need people who are going to be bought. We need people who are going to be able to speak freely and represent the people. Everybody who campaign, they say they want to represent the people till they get into place.
Right.
They forget about the people.
Yeah.
Man, let me stop. That's and I think we got, as faith leaders, we just can't spiritualize a word on Sunday to get people to feel good. I think we got to get people more engaged and understanding the responsibilities that they have as a person to their civic duties in these communities, because we're falling behind, we're hurting, we're suffering, and they're doing well.
Yeah.
I was in a meeting last night with 10 white pastors. I'm the only one there. But they're talking about policies. They're talking about laws that's going to impact the church. We talking about, okay, all right. Oh, man, let me, okay, somebody said, in my hometown of Vernon, Florida, we visited all the churches and fellowship with each other. The denomination was not a factor.
That's right. And that's what it takes, right? It's collective agreement. Like we're never going to be monolithic. We're going to always think different. But at a certain juncture, we have to meet in the middle of the road to say, okay, we may not be able to do this, but we're going to do this and we're going to do it. And here's the thing, and Dr. Darius Daniels says, phenomenal guy. He says, God's church doesn't have a mission. God's mission has a church.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
God's church
doesn't have a mission. God's mission has a church. And so I think once we adopt that mindset and know that, again, the strength of your church may be the weakness in mine, but it's okay for us to support what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
When we gonna get it?
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough to see it, and you see it before our very eyes happening, because we could be so much better. You know what I'm saying? We could be so much stronger if we just put all of this other stuff away and really, really tap into that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, with the few minutes that we have left, I want to transition this conversation, Christique, a little bit. I want to talk about how was it moving to the Atlanta area? I know you went to school there, but now you're there. You're pastoring one of the major AME churches in the city, and you now got to make your presence. How was it?
Well, you know what? I think the beautiful thing about Atlanta is I had Tallahassee first.
Okay.
Yeah, Tallahassee first is a blessing to me, honestly, because of you, because of Quincy, because of Old Jermaine, because of R.B. Holmes. Watching how you guys move. I'm not the kind of guy to be like, oh, that's Tallahassee. I'm the kind of guy that taps into some of the stuff that y'all did while I was here.
Absolutely.
And able to replicate it there as well. I'm not that dude. You know what I'm saying? I think we are better together. Just like you talk about Doc and them coming and T&L coming. Let me tell you, my office manager is a graduate of FAMU. My executive assistant to the pastor is a graduate of FAMU. I probably had, Angela Suggs' daughter is a member. It's, what I'm saying is Tallahassee is literally a feeder to the country. And I don't know if people really understand the strength of this little city, right? When you think of Florida, you want to go to Orlando and Tampa or whatever. But the strength of the country
is in Tallahassee.
Is right here.
Wow.
It's definitely the strength of the state because everybody got to come here. Somebody going to come to FAMU for something. Somebody going to the state for something. I cannot go anywhere. I was here 15 years. Think about the generations of people that we were able to touch. I can't go anywhere in the country, literally, walking through the airport, walking through the city. Pastor Elwood, oh my God, you were my college pastor.
You kidding?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, and it's one of the greatest joys of my life to literally between at least about 70 to 75 people that were a part of us when they were here have joined us in St. Philip in Atlanta.
Wait. So let me, Christy, let me make sure I get this. So in Atlanta now, at least 75 people that were here.
Yeah.
They have moved to Atlanta.
That's right.
And now they've connected again.
100%. I'm talking about with jobs, with families, with children.
Wow.
Just doing well, man. I could call the roll of people names that y'all would know that their children are there and they're a part of the church. And it's just amazing to see that I can look out at any given Sunday, literally, and see somebody from Tallahassee. This is no lie, my first 6 months, every single Sunday, somebody from Tallahassee was sitting in St. Philip. Every Sunday, and so again, the gift that I have is literally, I'm telling you, I had to monitor because I was talking about Tallahassee so much that I had church members were like, okay, you ain't trying to bring all that Tallahassee stuff in here. I mean, it's literally like that. So, that transition has been beautiful, but the gift, my burning bush of my ministry so far has been the 850. Just being able to connect with this city and have love in this city, and then go to Atlanta and just be culturing the same kind of love, and and bridging gaps and doing great things, and that's the beautiful thing. Another thing about it is, I haven't had to kiss the ring. There are pastors that have been on the wall for years,
absolutely,
in Atlanta. But everybody know Eddie Long, Creflo Dollar, but there are some other guys.
Oh yeah, there's some guys.
Oh God, in Atlanta that just were just ridiculous in the work that they were able to do. But a lot of those churches are in transition. So we're coming in almost like around the same time and able to just push it forward, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Yeah.
So it's been a very beautiful experience. It's been one that Tallahassee became, like you said, a launching pad for you to be able to touch the world. Christy, with the few minutes that we have remaining, Darryl Park said, "Good afternoon. The Atlanta connection run deep."
Run deep.
So I mean, what is it that's on your heart as we kind of like wrap up? As we have spent time today talking to an amazing leader, amazing preacher, father, husband, community voice, today talking about some of the challenges that we've got to overcome, some of the controversy that we got to make. We got to make controversy in some situations. We got to be that voice to just not go along to get along.
That's right.
Well, I think that what's great to hear is that the stirring is still there, that there are, God gonna always have a remnant. There's not gonna never be a situation where we're gonna be in despair without somebody that understands how to get us together. The question is, with the spirit of humility that an Anton Elwood brings to the conversation, or pastors that understand the need to not just be activated, but to activate others. That's where the power lies. You're not a housing expert. Put a housing expert in play.
Wow.
You're not a business expert. Put a business development expert in play.
I like it.
You're not an educational expert. Put an educational expert in play. Give them the reins and the responsibility to bring in the data based on locality and let's inform policy in a way where we can start to see impact flowing from the House of Help. And when we do that, we will start to see people reset their eyes and recalibrate their mind to this is a place of help. And I thank God for you, for pastors like you who understand. Look, we walking in humility around here, knowing that God gives everybody gifts without repentance. And your gift may not be the same as mine, but they're all great and mighty when working in concert together. That's the hope I have. And another thing I'm gonna put on the prayer list is I would love to see some type of an Atlanta, Tallahassee Congress come together. I don't know if it'll be from within the church or whatever, to talk through community issues, to talk through data, and to talk through things that have worked, things that haven't worked. Because whether we know it or not, Atlanta is the center of commerce for the southeastern United States. So that's the bank, baby. That's where you're going to get your resources. And if we don't, we limit ourselves by looking at our state resources and our local resources, but the central bank is there. The central housing bank is there. The resources are in Atlanta. How do we develop an agenda, a community-based agenda for impact, and then go after the dollars from that central source and be able to see impact happening, activating everybody in their strength and in their talents? I'm going to put that on the prayer list.
Amen. Amen. And I think that's so important as we look at where we are and developing the kind of unity that we need and the kind of cohesiveness that we need to really have the kind of impact it's going to take us, as Dr. Elwood has said so beautifully, that we got to know our place, get in that place, and then tap into those resources that are there. Let me ask this, and Darrell Parks, as the mayor, I can lead that connection conversation.
Come on here, Mayor.
All right. He said, I can lead that connected conversation.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, and this is so important now, and with the last few minutes that we have left, we see how the world now has been in a state of confusion, and it's unrest. Yeah. What would you say to the people about this?
Wow, it's the concept of Frederick Douglass at this point, though. I got more prayers answered when I got up off my knees, pretty much, and I'm paraphrasing that, but at the end of the day, I think that's where we are. Of course, prayer is the order of the day. Of course, we got to believe, we got to hope, we got to trust. But we're really at the point now, faith without works is dead.
Yes.
That's just where
say that.
Can't keep praying. We done prayed.
Yeah, we done prayed.
I kind of heard you.
Yeah, right.
Let's get to work now.
Going back again to the Bible, Moses goes to God and like, yo, you brought me out here. Why did you bring me out here knowing all of this was going on? And God says, why are you talking to me? Why are you still praying about this? Look at what's in your hand. I put the staff in your hand already. The staff and stretch out your hands. And I think we have the staff. Our communities have the staff. An unlifted staff is a waste of our time. God says, lift your staff.
Come on now.
That's where we are at this point as a people. We are at the action point. We're at the faith without works point. We know how to pray. We know how to shout. We know how to believe. We know how to dance. At this point, we're at the action point. If we're really going to see real, true, unheld back action in our community, it's going to come from us. We can't sit around and wait for nobody to do it for us. You are Dr. King. You are the realization of who he was and what he spoke about. Think about it. I have a dream wasn't even going to be the speech of the day.
It wasn't.
No, it's Mahalia that shouted. Tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream. We got to have these other people, that really, really kind of uplifts what we have on the inside of us and pushes us forward. But it's in all of us and not just in one of us. Stop waiting on, this one person to raise up. It's in everybody.
Wow.
Let's do it.
Hey, listen, you just heard it. Hey, what a challenge, what a call to action. None other than the pastor of the St. Philip AME Church in Atlanta, Georgia, Dr. Antoine Elwood. He's preaching tonight over at the Old Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church in Havana, Florida. Roosevelt Rogers is the pastor. You want to make plans to get there tonight? Hey, listen, we almost got a word just then, but now, listen, we got to get up off our knees and we got to put some action in. Until next week, I'm Greg James.
Hey, I'm Christique Henry.
And she is the conscious chick. We want to say to you, it's time to get to work. Until next week, you be blessed. And remember, God has more in store for you than what you encountered already. So receive it.
Amen.
All right.
Christine,
Yes, sir.
Quest CDC in Atlanta. Look it up.
Yes, sir.
Quest CDC. The chair of the board is a member of our church. I went to visit. Crazy work. I'm talking about crazy, doing all the stuff you were talking about. Crazy in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So look it up and then hit me up. And if we need to coordinate a meeting, you come out there, we need to do it.
All right.
I'm there for it. Yes, sir.
Okay.